Good afternoon, everybody. This is the Town of Dewey Beach Town Council public hearing and monthly meeting. It's being held here for the last time at the Dewey Beach Life Saving Station, as well as via Zoom. Today is August 21st, 2026. It is 3 o'clock in the afternoon. With that, I'd like to convene this meeting and start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. Roll call, Commissioner Barrett.
Present.
Commissioner Persiger.
Present.
Commissioner Gibbings.
Present.
Commissioner Jazinski.
Here.
And Mayor Bill Stevens here. Before I ask for a motion to adopt the agenda, we'd like to propose potentially two changes to that. One, the town manager's asked to table item J, which is discussion on the noise ordinance until we gather more information from council is where he wants to go with that. And also to move item I up to D so that to respect our auditor's time. That's okay. So with that, can I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Can I have a motion for adoption of the minutes?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Abstain.
Any public comment for non-agenda items? We will ask for public comment prior to when we go through each of the agenda, but if there's anybody that has a comment they would like to make that something is not on the agenda, you have this time to come forward. All right, we'll move on. Reports, committee reports. Commissioner Jazinski.
Nothing to report on infrastructure.
Commissioner Givings.
The Finance Investment Committee met on August 10th, and the Brown Advisory Report was posted online for review. The RFP for investment management is further on in the agenda, and we'll discuss it at that time.
Great.
And Audit Committee met on the 6th, and we'll discuss it later today as well.
Perfect. Commissioner Persiger.
Yeah, the Resilience and Sustainability Committee met yesterday. The public outreach associated with that plan has really been kind of merged for right now with the comp plan survey that's also underway. And the committee does plan to have a table at Town Hall when we have an open house, which I think is probably going to happen in October at this point. The comp plan committee itself will be meeting at 3 p.m. on the 9th of September, which I believe is the second Wednesday, and I should meet at 3 p.m. this time. They do have plans also to have a table at the end of season party, to talk more about the comp plan and hopefully get some more survey responses. And just give you a little update on that, we did get a total on Monday in terms of the survey responses. We have 17 businesses that responded and 493 residents or residential property owners. Definitely doing better than we did 10 years ago. And the town's done a great job of outreach, getting people to respond. So we haven't seen the data yet, but hopefully we'll have some good information that will give us some foundation for the comp plan. Planning and zoning will meet on the 26th. They have on their agenda regulation of existing swimming pools. So they meet, I believe it is 5 p.m. That's all I have.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Barrett.
All right, marketing. We're getting ready to finish up the BRIC fundraiser. Kate, September 7th, I believe, is the cutoff, which is Labor Day. So we have a little bit over 2 weeks to get those orders in. How many are we up to now? Did we hit 500 yet or close?
Close, 470, give or take.
Okay, so we're getting there, and now we're down to the final 2 weeks, so we can't procrastinate anymore. Now's the time to get there. Next marketing meeting is Tuesday, August 25th at 4 p.m.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, before I give my briefing, I believe
Yes.
somebody did come in for public comment right after you closed public comment.
Thank you, thank you.
But first, you're going to have to come up and be recognized and be called up by the mayor.
Hi, I'm Rhoda Ron. I
You gotta be all the way up here before you can talk.
Sorry, my first time. And clearly right off.
Welcome, Rhoda.
Hello, Rhoda Ron. My husband and I are owners at Izzy Plaza, and we have an issue with the noise coming from across the street. And do I have to talk here? Yes?
Yeah.
Okay. So the big thing is, and actually Carrie, my neighbor in my building, also just sent, she's online, and she just sent another video. Today, I feel like the music was not quite as loud coming from the DMX, it used to be the Exxon station, but from what I understand, they have multiple noise calls that have been made against them, but when the police go out and check, they find that the noise is just at the maximum allowable decibel for a retail space. I feel like it's even louder on our deck because noise does sort of rise up, and the speaker was directed straight at our unit across the street. Times where we couldn't have a conversation on our own deck because the music was so loud. When my sliding glass doors are closed, I can hear it inside our unit. And I feel that even if the decibel is acceptable, there just has to be an amount of like, why can't we ask for common courtesy when it's a situation where it's so loud? So I feel like it wasn't as loud today. Oh.
That's from your deck,
That's from my neighbor's deck, who's across.
over the traffic.
Yes,
noise.
yeah. And the other night, well after dark, she sent me one. And it was like a nightclub going on over there. Actually, that's not. That's what we hear on our deck. Sometimes it's not as loud, sometimes it's louder. I went over and actually had a conversation with the gentleman who was working there, introduced myself, met him, asked very kindly, could you maybe turn it down? He's like, I could maybe mess with the treble or the bass. And I'm thinking, no, we need to just turn the volume down. They think it's a business builder because it, invites a party atmosphere. And I'm all about every business in Dewey doing well. I just don't think you need that volume to have that party attitude. So I know they're within legal limits, but I feel like there's got to be a change. So that's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rhoda.
Anyone hear public comment in addition to Rhoda? Kate, somebody online?
Yep, David, go ahead.
Yeah, David Moskowitz, Dewey Beach. And I just like to add for Izzy Plaza, that person has a $1,000 subwoofer. It's not a $5 thing. And he's just blasting music all hours. And I had done a FOIA of noise complaints for Dewey, and no restaurant or person had more than 2, and he had about like 14 to 16. So there's obviously an issue, and it seems to be affecting commercial places at Izzy as well as residential. The second thing is I'm very disappointed that you're not having the noise ordinance for later, because my biggest issue, because I'm a full-time resident in Dewey Beach with a family, is the rickshaws right now. They get leased out to private operators, it seems like, and some of them are just blasting music at all hours, including past 1 a.m. Most businesses have to close, if not almost all, have to close their windows and doors at 11 p.m., but the rickshaws are just blasting music. And I had sent the video to certain commissioners, so I really would like something to be done. And there's already rules in place, 7-4183, and also 117-16. So, I mean, I know the police chiefs in the audience, they really need to tell the rickshaws to not blast music, in particular after 11 p.m. when it's waking people up. And some of my neighbors have complained too, and nothing gets done. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Hi, this is Carrie Mumford. Rhoda had just mentioned me. I am attendant at Izzy Plaza. I'm also on the council. So I have gotten numerous complaints from both residential renters and commercial here at Izzy with respect to the noise. And I just want to clarify that the time frame we're talking about, it starts at 9 o'clock in the morning and it ends around 12 p.m. or 1 p.m. 12 midnight or 1 a.m. So we're talking 14 to 16 hours a day of constant music. It really, I'm here, I like to enjoy my deck. It just increases the sound volume for everyone here on Izzy, and I assume on surrounding streets, because in order to talk or hear your own music, you have to play it louder. So it's just an increase of overall volume that I don't think is necessary to bring business to a convenience store. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Deborah Goldenberg Phillips, and my place is on Swedes. Since the Memorial Weekend, what I call the Exxon station has been an ongoing problem. But I did want to update everybody that the police department has taken this extremely seriously. They respond, and either the decibels go down by the time they get there, or what we're experiencing, at least on Swedes, is that based on what the winds are, you often hear it louder sometimes than across the street. There was a meeting 2 or 3 weeks ago, a virtual meeting with a number of owners on Swedes, as well as Cliff from the police department and the owner of the store there to try to address this. And I know that everybody is trying to work to do it. It is an ongoing problem. It was actually far louder this morning than it was by 10 o'clock, which was unusual. Sometimes it varies by the song that's being played or whatever station he's playing. But I do know that everybody is working on this, trying to come to some resolution, and that the police department is regularly going and taking counts. On Swedes, we have welcomed the police department to please feel free to come onto our decks anytime they want when they get a complaint to take a decibel reading, because sometimes my husband went on and got a decibel meter, and it's actually louder at our house than it is across the street. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Now, Mr. Town Manager, you're gonna have to
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good afternoon, everybody. I want to first start off by, I know we have the audit get ready to come up, but I'd like to recognize Sheena and Allison and Dan Kenny and his team for an excellent audit this year. Yeah, he found some things in our finances that needed to be brought to our attention, but that's his job. But I like to say we hit all the deadlines and all the scheduled meetings, and we did all 3 of the trial balances, and Mr. Kenny will talk about that. So this week we met with FEMA. We had a 2-day, what they call a community assistance visit from 2 FEMA representatives. Jim Dedes, myself, and Dave Naples, who's our flood manager for the town, met with them. A couple months ago, they gave us 26 different properties around town that they pulled that they thought there was some issues with. They provided them to us. Within 35 days, we had the answers back to them. They came back and met with us on Wednesday, and out of those 26, they still had 6 additional questions that they had for Dave Naples, myself, and Jim. For 2 days, we went through those, and we got them whittled down to 1. And so we owe that information back to FEMA within the next 30 days. And then by the end of September, they'll provide a summary of what they found here in Dewey Beach, and we'll provide that to the commissioners. Jim, do you have any comments on that?
Yeah, I do. When we met with them, they did add that they wanted to go over substantial improvement on homes. And we focused the second day predominantly on that. And they're going to give us some recommendations as to how we should proceed with them. And we need to actually have policies and procedures established. So they're going to give us a template of all that. We're going to change that. So Dave Naples and I will go through that and come up with a process that we feel is good that we'll submit to them as far as how we're going to handle that.
Thank you, Mr. Dedes.
Continuing, Mr. Mayor, on the 19th will be the homeowners' end of the summer party at 5:30 till 9:30 between the streets of Dagsworthy and New Orleans. And then on the 20th, that same weekend, we're having our 2nd annual Dewey Dog Days. That'll be here on Dagsworthy Street from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Bring out your favorite 4-legged friend. We're going to have raffles. We're going to have a dog fountain out there for the dogs. It's just a really good time. You know, Dewey Beach is a dog-friendly town, so come on out for that. Update on the new town hall. The elevators are still being installed, so we're about 2 weeks behind on the elevators, but we are moving in the right direction. We'll have one of the elevators probably completed next week. When I say completed, it'll be functional, but it will not be inspected yet. So once it's completely done, then it has to be certified and inspected, and then the fire marshal also has to look at it. We won't bring in the fire marshal until both elevators are completely done. But we are having the dais delivered on the 26th next week between the hours of 8 and 9. We have a local carpenter who works for the Lewis Fire Company who actually put it together. I think it's going to look beautiful. I've seen pictures of it. So that'll be delivered on the 26th. That'll be upstairs in the multipurpose commissioner's room. Furniture is going to be delivered on September 1st. If you notice out in front of the town hall, there's an ADA compliant water fountain that has also a dog bowl on it. So because we got $4 million from the state of Delaware on a grant, ADA compliant for the whole building, including the outside water fountain and the dog bowl out front. So we got that installed yesterday and finished it up today. The power will be disconnected on the old building on the 16th of September, pending any issues. And the demo of the old building will start the week of the 21st. It'll be approximately 2.5 days of demo. 1 day to knock the building down and 2 days to make sure we get it all cleaned up before we start on the second phase, which will be the paramedic station. Was called by the director of DEMA, AJ Shell, the other day. He asked me to be on the FEMA Regional 3 Advisory Council, so I told him I would, so I'll be on that. That council looks at a number of different things throughout this region, which covers Maryland, part of New York, Pennsylvania, part of Pennsylvania, Delaware, New Jersey, and part of Virginia. So I'll find out more about that, but it's a positive thing for the town. That's all I have, pending any questions, and then Mayor would like to say a few words before Mr. Montgomery gets up and talks about his subject.
Of course. Okay. Chief.
Hello, everyone.
Bill.
I'll start off with the noise complaint concerns. We did have a meeting a few weeks ago about it, and the owner did change the location of his speakers, so to our understanding, there were less problems with the noise on Swede since that meeting. We are aware of the problems at Izzy. The owner was notified again that the music is too loud and going to all the residents at Izzy and disturbing them, so he said he was going to move his speaker further into the building. As far as the town goes, we are going to be looking into more things with our attorney to address the ordinances in regards to noise, so that will be coming out in the future. Let's start out with the stats, Kate. Oh, you got them up already. All right, so here's the July stats. So in the month of July, we had 828 calls for service. We had 29 individuals that were arrested, and that's a full custody arrest with 99 total charges. We had 158 written traffic citations. We had 216 traffic stops. We had 436 hours spent on traffic enforcement, and we wrote 79 civil citations. Juvenile and underage alcohol enforcement, there were 11 juvenile arrests, 4 for alcohol, 4 curfew, 3 for traffic. And underage alcohol focus, 38 alcohol violations specifically within the 18 to 21 age demographic. So our civil enforcement, we had 79 total civil citations written in the month of July, and the primary violation was public urination.
And those were the hot spots, Chief?
Yes.
On that picture, the hot
Yes,
spots.
the hot spots are on the pictures.
Guys, kill me.
I give
Absolutely
credit
killing
to
me.
my Lieutenant Dempsey. He's enjoying putting all this stuff together.
Oh, it looks great, Chief.
Yeah,
It does,
right.
looks great.
So,
Ellen.
as far as roadway and pedestrian safety interventions, we had 19 total accidents, 10 were property damage, 5 hit and runs, and 2 personal injury. We had 2 total DUI arrests. And as far as pedestrian safety, we had 34 crosswalk violations, including 9 vehicles that were disregarding the active signals regarding the crosswalks. So that's our stats for the month of July. Can you bring up the public safety? So this year, this will be our 3rd year partnering with the Lions Club. We have our Community Appreciation and Public Safety Day. It's going to be on September 12th this year from 11 to 3. There's lots of fun stuff to do for the kids. There's games, moon bounce, face painting, balloon animals, a variety of other things, canine demos. The fire department will be out there doing a demonstration. We have police departments from all over the state that'll be there. There's free food, there's a DJ. It's a great day. It's a fun way to get to know everybody and have a good time. So please bring your kids out, your grandkids. The kids love coming out. They just enjoy it so much. So we're ready to go. Labor Day is our last big weekend. We're all geared up for that. We've already started to do exit interviews on our seasonal employees because they're all going back to college. And we'll have a few that'll be remaining up until the fall. So that will help us out a lot. I would like to thank former Mayor Pat Wright, Vince DeFonso, and Alex Pyres for a donation, a very generous donation to help us purchase antennas for our new building. We discovered that we were going to need additional radio antennas so that we could communicate safely within our building, and without these antennas, we wouldn't have had that. So we thank them very much, and that's all I have.
Great. Before I ask Chamber of Commerce to come up, still pretty one at the lifeguard?
Yes, sir. So our lifeguards did very well this year down at the Nationals, down in Fort Lauderdale. I'll ask Lieutenant Chris Conaway to come up and to the podium and explain how they did down there. And then the mayor will call the individuals up. Are they over here, Chris?
Yes.
Okay.
Are you going to bring them in? I'll get them.
You want to go ahead and say a few words, Chris?
Yeah. So I'm Lieutenant Conaway with the Dewey Beach Patrol. I also work for Coast Outdoor Living in town. But like Mr. Bill said, we did a great job this year at Nationals. I think it's actually the best we've ever finished. We sent 21 competitors down. We had 22 top 10 finishes, actually nationally, like out of everybody, which was pretty insane. Our team, just our greater whole team, the Sussex County Life Saving Association, won for the third time in a row. We beat Monmouth, LA County, and California State. Yes, did a really good job. The 4 people, including myself, I guess 5 that are able to be here today, is kind of representing one pillar of our competition team. So we have Ashley Marshall over here. She won the women's Open 90 relay, soft sand relay. So her, Haley Gamicello, and 2 of our other competitors that couldn't be here today. We have Steve Hagan over here in the shirt. Steve is one of our older competitors. He won his master's division in the beach flags. He's been doing it for a long time, brought a lot of minutes.
Ageism, it's happening here.
Yeah. And then we got Mikey Thompson, Mikey Frederick. Mikey did a great job. So we had, I think, over 120 competitors go out for an individual event called Beach Flags. Probably the toughest event there. He got 5th out of everybody there. So it goes down by 1 each person. And so Mikey did a great job. And then I won my old man division in the 70-meter sprint. And then I also got, I got 5th in that. And then I got 2nd in the 2K beach run as well. So everybody did a great job. I wish Allie Deal was here. She got 2 gold medals for the 90-meter sprint, both the U19 and everybody. So Dewey Beach does have the fastest female on sand right now, which we're pretty proud of.
Wow.
Great job, guys.
Everybody.
That's all I got.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Great job, guys.
Thanks, Trey.
We got pictures of the
Oh, you guys up?
Back for a picture.
Too late.
I think you're getting out of here that fast.
All right, don't leave yet. Let me get her.
Chief says stop.
Thanks, guys. Great job.
Congratulations.
I'll give you the names.
Okay, you got
Yeah, I got it.
Okay. Okay, yeah, we're good. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, Chris.
There you go, Chris.
Thanks,
for
Chris.
the
Thanks,
video.
Mikey.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Mayor.
All right. Chamber?
Hey everyone. Fine. I'm Caitlin Cheney. I'm with the Chamber of Commerce. We're wrapping up our beach bonfires and movies on the beach here at Dagsworthy Street. Our intern, Carissa, she prepared some slides.
They're coming up now.
They're coming up now.
There we go.
Unfortunately, she couldn't be here today, so you're stuck with me. We have one more bonfire and one more movie next week, and then we're done for the season. The movie's High School Musical. Anyone's interested? Yeah. So some stats, you can see it here on the graphs, and then there's a couple slides too that kind of break it down a little further. Bonfires have already surpassed attendance of the past 2 years by 48%.
Wow.
So a big jump there, and donations surpassed by 27%. Movies are just ever so slightly below the total for last year, but it's so close that I think after this week we'll be above last year's number for both attendance and donations. So fingers crossed for good weather next week. Overall, both events together outperforming the past 2 years by about 28% in attendance. Krissa made some good suggestions for the chamber and developing new ideas to get volunteers to help out and participate, and considering partnering with hotels. A lot of the hotels here in Dewey give bonfire supplies to their guests. And so we thought we could maybe partner up with them just to make the experience, overall better for guests and for attendees. And other than that, we just want to thank the town of Dewey and Dewey Beach Patrol for all their help and generosity this season. Thank our official Movies and Bonfire sponsor, Wise Markets, and all of the chamber sponsors who supported with slides and coming out for the night, and anyone who attended. So that's all I got. Thank you.
Thanks so much. All right, we're getting to the meat of the agenda now. I'll go over A, and Bill, if you have any comments you want to make prior to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now?
Well, I was going to read it and then you can.
Okay.
All right. A, public hearing, consider amended application submitted by Steve Montgomery for the Starboard located at 2009 Coastal Highway for temporary expansion of premise for the 15th annual Dewey Goes Pink 5K to be held October 2nd and 3rd, 2026. Following the public hearing, the town council will deliberate and take action on the application.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, as we all know, Dewey Goes Pink is a huge event in Dewey Beach for a great cause. After reviewing what Mr. Montgomery wanted us to do to get this thing set up and going, it's just gotten so big. After further discussions with Monty, we thought it'd be better that he comes back and asks to kind of, add Friday and part of Thursday night, because he really needs to get set up to get this thing going and to do it in a safe manner. So he is going to be coordinating an extra police officer on Friday. He can explain how they're going to handle the property owners on Salisbury Street, but both the chief and I both agree that this is the best way to move forward on it.
First off, thank you. Following Lieutenant Conaway, I'm going to go ahead and leave my shirt on up here. Okay. Second of all, beach party ends at 9 p.m., not 9:30, unless the chief sometimes wants us to play a few extra songs. So, Dewey Goes Pink, everybody knows about it at this point. This is our 15th year, and it's gotten bigger, bigger, and bigger. And I sort of joke, but it's sort of serious. About 10 years ago, we kind of took over Salisbury Street. And I remember Applebaum was the town manager at that time, and Bruce Vavla came up to me and goes, "How'd you get permission to take over the street?" I said, "You don't ask." And you just grow and you grow and you grow, sarcastically, because Bruce always gave me a hard time, God rest his soul. And it's literally become the main event of Dewey Goes Pink is on that side street. The neighbors are great. We work with them all. We communicate with them all. We put out letters. Two things that we're kind of just wanted to make sure you all were okay with. And one is the setup with our entirely minimal staff that we have in October, which is like 4 of us setting up by then. It's we want to start with some of the things on Thursday afternoon. And that's because Friday is so big with the registrations. Registration starts at 3 o'clock. Over 3,000 people come on Friday at 3 o'clock. And you got to be ready, because you don't want to be setting big pink ribbons up and tents and stuff when all those pedestrians on the street. The second thing, and as it's already been approved, but the street, we do close it on Friday for pedestrian safety mostly, because we are fairly set up. We're setting up tables and smaller stuff on Friday. So the town managers told us that wanted to okay with you all that we can close it all day on that Friday. We will have a policeman there, and it's closed Saturday. Events over at 4:30 on Saturday, and we're usually cleaned up and out of there by 7 o'clock. So everyone works great with it. It's we're very excited. We're at 4,500 people registered right now. We cut it off at 5,000, but because I'm kind of an idiot at times, we cut it at 5,000 and forgot about the sponsors. So it's really more like 5,600 people that come, and that was fun explaining to Del Dot. The other request is, this year we want to add a kids zone. Just a few bouncy houses. The place we just realized was best, a year or two ago, you all allowed us to move the finish line to Bayard Avenue back there. Works wonderful. Eliminates a lot of the congestion on Salisbury. Just past the finish line between Salisbury and, call it Cajun Cove, because it wouldn't go all the way to New Orleans Street. We're going to put a few bouncy houses and have it monitored by some volunteers, so the kids have somewhere to do something besides being all that crowd. seems like common sense, but we wanted to get officially approved on that.
Great.
They will allow the homeowners that are on that street on Friday to go through to their residents, but the street will be closed off for public traffic with everything going on.
Yeah, it works well. We work with them, they get through, but most of them know when to move their cars.
They're used to you.
All right, so we will, we'll have this. Okay. Anyone from a public comment perspective like to ask questions of Steve while he's here? Online? Kate?
David, go ahead.
Just I fully support it, and I hope you vote yes.
Not clear to me exactly what we're approving in terms of the timing. Is it Thursday evening? Because it's not in the writing, is that right?
I believe what you're approving, correct me if I'm wrong, is the additional 200 feet, 100 feet for the blow-ups on the street. The Friday closure's already sort of been approved. I think we just wanted to clear it up and make it officially approved.
At some point you mentioned Thursday evening.
So Thursday evening, they're putting up the pink ribbon.
We just set up on Thursday. Nothing's closed on Thursday. We just set up. And we just want to make sure it's known so that when we let everyone know that the town council is okay with it.
What street or streets are gonna be closed?
On Friday and Saturday day, it's just Salisbury Street, Bayside.
And Bayard?
On Saturday day, it's Bayard,
As the race
between
goes in.
Swede and Cajun Cove, we'll call it.
No other questions from the public? Council? Nothing for him? Go ahead, Paul.
I was going to motion when
Please
we're
do.
ready. Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. You're approved to.
Really bad
Put your bounce house in and,
Bad trick to have Rhoda come up and talk about noise on Izzy Plaza when I'm up next. I was a little nervous, but
thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
can I just real quick, because I can't stay, because I'm on my way to Villanova with a full car. Really excited for these new businesses coming to town. I've got a 16-year-old that has been following Stokes social media and cannot wait that it's awesome to see Dewey grow in different manners. That's my public comment.
Safe travels.
And just to be clear, Dewey Ghost Pink is the best house in town.
Put that on a shirt. All right. Item B, public hearing to consider conditional use application submitted by Katie Evans of Frozen Farmer LLC seeking approval to operate an eatery at 1601 Coastal Highway, Unit 102, Dewey Beach, Delaware, and 19971, identified as tax map parcel number 334-20.18-75.00, Unit 102. The property is located in the RB2 zoning district between McKinley Avenue and Reed Avenue pursuant to section 185-25D4 of the Town of Dewey Beach Municipal Code. Following the public hearing, the town council may deliberate and take action on this application. Katie?
Not quite as tall as he is. Thank you guys for having me. We're really excited about this opportunity. So my name's Katie, and I'm the founder of the Frozen Farmer and co-owner of Evans Farms with my husband, Kevin. Before I specifically talk about the Frozen Farmer and what we hope to bring to Dewey, I'd just like to give you a little background about who we are and where the business came from. And it really begins with our family. We're rooted from a third-generation family farm in Bridgeville, Delaware, so not far from here. Our family's been farming for about 83 years now, and today my husband and I operate the fourth generation, and we're raising our 4 daughters on our farm. We till more than 2,000 acres, growing many of the fruits and vegetables that Delaware is really known for, including sweet corn, watermelon, strawberries, and other seasonal fruit. We sell our produce to many local restaurants, farm markets, and particularly grocery stores as well. And like many farmers, we've always faced the challenge of what happens to perfectly good produce that doesn't meet traditional retail standards or cosmetic standards. A watermelon, for example, may be too small or too big to make it to the bin to the store, and therefore nothing wrong with it. It's perfectly edible. So that's really where the Frozen Farmer was inspired with the misfit fruit. We began taking those fruits and vegetables grown on our farm and neighboring farms and turning them into homemade ice cream, dairy, gluten, and fat-free sorbet, and other sweet treats, most recently donuts and fresh pressed juices. What started as a way to reduce food waste and create additional value began to grow into something much bigger. In 2020, I had the opportunity to take our business to Shark Tank and had a partnership with Lori Grenier. That national exposure helped us grow our national brand into nearly 4,000 stores across the US. We were in every US state. We've partnered with global brands like Elf on the Shelf and Barbie to launch licensed ice cream lines. And despite really where the Frozen Farmer has grown across the US, our roots have always remained right here in Delaware. And so that for us is what makes the Frozen Farmer in Dewey particularly meaningful. We're not looking to bring a national chain here to Dewey. We're really connecting a Delaware farm business with a Delaware beach town. And this business was built around our family's agriculture roots, homemade products, and local ingredients to tell the stories of the farmers who grow them. So our hope here is to create a place where families visiting Dewey can just walk in, enjoy a scoop of ice cream made with ingredients right from the fields of Evans Farms, like sweet corn. And yes, we make sweet corn ice cream. It is one of our most popular selling summer flavors. Peaches, strawberries, and experience just a taste of what Delaware agriculture is all about. So for us, this location is more about telling that story than just selling ice cream or sorbet. It's connecting people with the farm and where their products were grown.
Wonderful.
Thank you, Katie.
Thank you. Council, any questions, Katie?
I can.
Go ahead.
I just wanted, just for the record, to indicate that this licensure that's being sought is for an eatery, and eateries are permitted under certain conditions, and quickly they are. Alcoholic beverages are not permitted. Indoor seating, if provided, is limited to a maximum of 35 patrons. The indoor patron area or seating on the premises, it has to be able to accommodate one handicapped unisex bathroom, handicapped accessible unisex bathroom, actually. If outdoor or enclosed tables or chairs are provided by the eatery, the hours of operation for the outdoor area shall not extend past 11 o'clock. Outside loudspeakers for amplification of sounds shall not be permitted in an eatery. Speak of the devil. And portable toilets are not permitted. Hours of operation shall not be earlier than 6 a.m. or later than 1. And you all, as a council, are authorized to impose whatever additional conditions are reasonable given this particular site, what it presents.
So Fred, I just want to be clear. So you're saying that those things you read off are not needed in the conditional use because they're in the town ordinance and all?
They're in the code, and just for everyone's, just for the applicant's application, and as a reminder to council, those are applicable, yes.
Okay.
So nothing in the applications outside what's already in our code?
We haven't heard much about what their hours of operation are going to be or how many people they're going to see or whatnot, but they're not asking for any relief from any of those requirements. So it might be that staff knows more about what their hours of operation are going to be and whatnot than was just presented, but there's an application that speaks to it as well.
Right. Good, Dave.
I only had one other question of the chief, and I think you actually only want to operate till 9 p.m. anyway. Is that correct? Did I get that wrong?
That is correct. She told me just to list
Okay.
the, up until, 1 a.m. you're allowed to serve, just in case, like, there was ever that issue, but I don't foresee us serving ice cream until 1 a.m. I particularly don't want to be down here until 1 a.m. either with.
My question really is more
Before
for the
6 a.m.
chief. Just with,
Yeah.
just, you know, we sometimes have businesses that don't serve alcohol, yet they become gathering places and kind of late night rowdiness, right? And I don't think that that's really an ice cream centric type of thing, but a future business owner may be like, I'm not just serving ice cream, I'm serving something else, right? You know, so from your perspective, is there anything that you think we need to do in terms of the hours of operation or any of the conditions upon use to try to ensure that some future business owner will not possibly make this establishment a problem like we have in town today.
I'd say hours of operation closed by 11.
Okay.
And that matches with our curfew and such.
Might be the simplest one we've ever talked about.
I have no objection to that, no. Yeah, 11 is the very latest we've ever discussed serving ice cream until. I've been there later than 11, just working inside a little bit, and everybody that walks by after 11 doesn't really seem too interested in serving ice cream, or being served ice cream. You're being carried home.
Gary, do you have a question?
It's not a question, it's just a couple of comments, and maybe a question. I think there is a competitor who has closing hours at midnight, so I think we should offer them the same opportunity for closing time at midnight. Is there a restroom? It looks like there is in the plan.
Yes, we have a handicapped accessible restroom, yes.
How many, I would expect this will be a very successful business, I'd be surprised if it isn't. I would expect to see people lining up to get in. I mean, how many people can you hold inside in terms of the queue?
I believe our fire marshal occupancy, and just off the top of my head, is 25 people. So the front serving space is relatively small. We do not actually have this 6-top table there that you see in the photo because it's just not really feasible to put a 6-top in front of swinging retail doors. We also will accommodate DoorDash orders, and we have a handful of like pre-made parfait cups that we will be doing for our ice cream sundaes just to make serving quicker. To get people in and out faster so that hopefully the line doesn't build. I know our farm creamery is relatively small too. From a serving capacity, the front of house is not much bigger than what we have on 404 in Bridgeville. And last weekend we served, nearly 500 people in a couple of hours.
Wow.
Yeah. We're doing crab dip donuts there, so I know it sounds weird, but it's kind of gone viral and like, yeah, it's just wild. We have been asked to bring the crab dip donuts to Dewey. I don't know if we'll be doing that, but focusing on the ice cream mostly here, donuts in the morning. And by morning, I mean this, if we're approved, maybe 10 a.m. tomorrow.
So the provisions in our code for eateries don't include the restaurant. So I would like to see that as a condition. Would you have any objection to a provision that where all exterior windows and doors for the restaurant are closed by 11 p.m.?
Are closed by 11 p.m.?
Must be closed by 11 p.m.
Yes, that's fine.
And if you have any interior speakers in the restaurant portion of the building, it would be directed toward the interior space and away from any exterior door, window, or wall.
Okay, we just have a tiny little Bluetooth.
Okay, all right. Then the only other, issue, concern, topic, this is a conditional use approval. The normal process is, we usually refer this to planning and zoning. They hold a public hearing and then make a recommendation back to us. It sounds like we're on a somewhat different track. I can't remember, there's only one conditional use I can remember that we have approved in the past where we did not go back to planning and zoning. And that, in that situation, I think that particular applicant had gone through the full process for a different location and then came back with a new application for a different location. And I believe we did not subject that applicant to the full process. So I raise the issue just to see what others think about this and what sort of precedent it sets if in fact we proceed with approval of this without referral to planning and zoning.
Fred, my understanding is if we're unanimous, it doesn't have to go to planning and zoning, correct?
So the code does provide that you can grant a conditional use permit or change the conditions of a permit without asking for a referral from the planning commission if you are unanimous.
By the way, we also need public comment after this, but in Commissioner Persinger, the situation I believe you're referring to was done outside of the season. It was prior to them, it was February, March, where there wasn't a time pressing. As Ms. Evans indicated, I mean, they're ready to open. So sending it and bringing it back would delay them a month
Well, I
for something
understand
that's there.
there's a
At
matter of
least.
presumption.
Oh, no, I know. I'm not saying that their realtor gave them great advice on this, but there's a, all right, so let's get a public comment before we further discuss. Kate, wait, well, anybody here want to discuss it? Kate?
We're here just to support businesses. Yeah. David, go ahead.
Wait.
I'm the landlord, I support the project and beg you to get it done as quickly as possible.
Okay.
David, go ahead.
Yeah, David Moskowitz, Dewey Beach. I live full-time across the street. I support Frozen Farmer. My daughter's probably going to be one of the best customers. I just asked for 2 or 3 things as a good neighbor. The operating hours, the same as Van Dewent, sounds great. Can you put in the ordinance that interior speakers need to be directed inwards? So, I mean, just businesses change and we don't want another Exxon, as you saw earlier. And then the third thing is ice cream is very messy. So can you put something where they need to clean up at the close of business? So this way the street needs to be cleaned in front of them. Leaving it till the next morning wouldn't be appropriate with ice cream. And if they even have to do it twice, that wouldn't be the worst thing. Thank you.
Yes,
Jim,
reporter from the Cape Gazette.
You mentioned something about 10 a.m. tomorrow. Is that when, if this is approved, it would be open at 10 a.m. tomorrow?
If we are approved, our plan is to open at 10 a.m. tomorrow.
Anyone else for public comment?
I have a comment, Mr. Mayor. So
Yeah.
I would just ask that in the conditional use, there's at least 1, if not 2 trash cans. If you haven't already planned on that, outside their business. I can tell you the other ice cream shop in town, I requested that they put a trash can out front because our trash can on the corner and the trash can in front of the Claw were just filled with ice cream cups. And they did, and it really helped, so, with the trash on the street.
Right.
So would that trash can be on their premises?
It would not be in the public, it would be right outside their store, and that's what they did at the other ice cream location.
And you have an area for that?
We could put 1. You would like 2 in front of ours?
At least 1.
Okay.
And depending on how busy you get and how much trash goes into the trash cans on the corner.
Yeah.
Right now, we have 2 90-gallon cans on that corner.
Okay.
But after Labor Day, it goes down to 1.
Okay. Yeah, I understand. From my experience of what I've noticed in Dewey, it's a lot of people walk around with their cups, cones, ice cream. So it's probable that they will leave our property, as Vanderwin's probably does as well. But we'll certainly put a trash can outside of our facility, yeah.
Thank you. Council, any other questions, comments?
Well, in terms of Mr. Pershinger's thing, I get the point, but I would say that this is an eatery, which is less complicated and impactful on the town than a full-blown restaurant is. And secondly, it's basically kind of a duplicate of another business that we've already approved not too long ago. And so from my perspective, I think it's okay as long as they have similar restrictions and allowances that the existing Vanderwin's eatery does in terms of cleaning up the trash, hours of operation, closing the windows and doors, speakers, all that thing. Candidly, I'm fine just moving to approve those same restrictions.
What about the free ice cream for commissioners?
Hey, I asked if samples are typically brought, and I was discouraged to do that. Otherwise, you guys would be eating right now.
I agree with needing to have parallel construction with similar business in town, yes.
This is one of the easier ones I think we're going to tackle.
I would just say I'm still a little concerned about the precedent we set by not subjecting this to the full process, but that said, I'm not going to stand in the way of this. I can't imagine it won't be a great business in the town and that it won't be successful.
Okay, good.
So I don't plan to stand in the way.
I'll motion it to approve it. Gary, you had some good suggestions, if we can include those suggestions.
With the trash can?
Trash can. And
Internal
the
speakers.
indoor speakers that aren't there.
And the doors closed.
They have to be pointed.
It's all doors and windows closed at 11 p.m. And the interior speakers in the restaurant portion of the building directly to the interior space, away from the exterior door, window, or wall.
That's my motion.
And he's got a closing time of 12 a.m.
Second.
That doesn't mean you have to stay open till
Yeah,
12. We're not mandating that. You understand? You can go home.
If there's customers to serve, we will serve.
And there is a general requirement in the code applicable to businesses that they clean up their premises and
Yeah.
outside.
Right.
Because that was applicable to
That's
the
part of
snow
the stuff.
removal.
Right.
Just one other point, I think there's a real important paragraph that we haven't always had in conditional use, and that's section 4 that says, the conditional use approval shall terminate under conditions in which the ownership and/or control of the eatery is substantially changed, but the primary business of the eatery is no longer accurately described as that of an ice cream shop. So in that situation, they would have to go through, the new business would have to go through a conditional use. I think that's an important thing that we've been putting into conditional use approvals over the last couple of years.
I'll amend to put that language in there.
Well, it's
in there.
already there,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
already there, I just want to point that out.
We have a motion, we have a second, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you, guys.
You're welcome.
Welcome.
We'll see you at 10:05. All right. But can we get the crab donuts with the corn ice cream?
That's the only way to do it.
Okay, all right. Let's move on to next, which is public hearing to consider a conditional use application submitted by Molly Wagner of Lennon Zerl LLC, the Stoke Cafe, seeking approval to operate an eatery at 1601 Coastal Highway, Unit 104, Dewey Beach, Delaware, 19971. Identified as tax map parcel number 334-20.18-75.00, Unit 104. The property is located in the RB2 zoning district between McKinley Avenue and Reed Avenue pursuant to section 185-25D4 of the Town of Dewey Beach Municipal Code. Following the public hearing, the town council may deliberate and take action on the application. I'll ask Ms. Sweat, you're
I'm already
there.
here. I jumped the gun a little bit.
Please, go
All right,
ahead.
guys, my name is Molly Wagner. I am the owner of the Stoke with my husband Brendan. We are a specialty cafe that's very health-focused, surf-inspired, and we also have a yoga studio that has mat Pilates classes, yoga sculpt classes, and some strength training classes. What we want to bring to the town of Dewey Beach is a form of community. We opened in Ocean City about 2 years ago, November of '24, and seeing the community grow as we've grown has been the most amazing thing. They come in for a workout class, they leave sitting, having a cup of coffee with new friends that they made in the class. It's been really fun and inspiring to watch this vision we've had and built in our mind for years come to life. And last summer, we had messages on messages on messages asking us when we were coming to the Delaware beaches. So I called Carrie at the end of August and I was like, hey, what do you have going on up in the Dewey Rehoboth area? And she's like, I have the perfect spot. I was like, okay, I'm growing my family right now. We're not sure if this is the perfect timing for us, but it ended up being great. So we're super excited to come join you guys, and we would love to come as soon as possible.
Public comment first. I know you're good with it. Kate?
I'm excited to have a neighbor.
David, go ahead.
Yeah, David Moskowitz. I live across the street and just asking for similar interior speakers to be pointed inwards. And since they're opening early, that doors and windows need to be shut before 8 in the morning and then after 11. So then this way, if another business takes over, it covers either situation. But if you think about it, the town, you can't start construction projects before 8 in the morning. They may eventually, like, you never know who they could sell to another yoga place. Some places may use music. They could have music for the cafe. Either way, it should be before 8 and after 11 and inward facing speakers.
Sounds good.
Thank
No
you.
problem.
All right, council, any questions for Ms. Wagner?
We don't have a workout place. Does this qualify as a gym? Does it qualify as an eatery?
So we're two separate units. So we have an eatery, and that's, I think, what we're speaking here to you about, but we also have a gym, and I don't think that was required for the eatery notion.
Gym is
But it's all listed
permissible use.
in there.
So are they connected inside, or?
They are, yes. We have a door that connects both of them inside, but they both have exterior exits as well, with ADA bathrooms in each unit as well.
Commissioner Person.
I'm just thinking from, I mean, this is kind of unusual, we do not have one where this kind of fits two categories. So they're connected, there's a door that separates them.
Correct.
Are the only interior speakers that you would have just in the yoga section, or you have some in the restaurant?
We have some in the restaurant as well, but it's very calm music, like Jack Johnson type of vibes, not loud by any means.
But we can still impose the same kind of conditions.
Of course.
We talked about with pros and cons. And there is a handicap accessible restroom.
Yes, in both units.
And where are we on closing time?
The application says 6:30 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Yes, we switched it to 9 PM.
Oh.
If people want coffee later on, we would love to serve them coffee later on. But we currently close our Ocean City location at 3 PM. However, we do think the foot traffic in Dewey could go a little bit longer than that.
I don't know, I mean, I'm kind of good doing it with what Gary did with his extras.
Right.
And it's similarly situated to what the business next door is doing, so.
And there is no need to do anything different with the gym.
No, it's not required.
Just checking.
What about, Gary, with the one ask that we have for the public about 8 a.m. doors, because I don't think we had.
No, that would be a new condition. I think that makes sense.
Do you have a problem with
Just
the,
having the doors closed?
by 8 a.m. till 8?
That's fine.
I don't think there are any windows in that, news or just.
They're all closed already. It would just, the door would be open when people come in and out, but we don't prop them open anyways because of flies.
Flies and air conditioning.
Yeah, and we're just,
Air conditioning on.
we
Okay.
prefer to keep them closed.
Commissioner Bauer, any final questions?
I mean, I agree with David here, that, you know, Gary, you know, those same conditions, if we apply them here, to me, it's very simple.
Okay.
What would the addition of the closing?
Closing at 9 p.m.
All right.
Yeah.
Dave, do you want a motion?
Yeah, I motion that we approve this with everything Gary said.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much.
Thanks, guys. Welcome.
Thank you.
And good luck.
Welcome, Molly. Brandon.
All right. This is when the Gazette takes over our meeting.
Sorry. Do you need them still?
No.
I know. We'll talk about that after, Ellen.
About what?
The election?
Oh, don't worry, I know.
All right. Thank you for taking over, Cape Gazette. I'll be calling Chris in a minute. Item D, public hearing, consider a draft ordinance to amend chapter 171.
No.
Wait, we wanted to move on.
Substitute
Oh,
D.
I'm so sorry.
I substitute for D, please, sir.
I was reading.
I substitute for D.
Aye, discussion and possible action regarding the draft fiscal year 2026 audit report as referred by the audit committee. Commissioner Gibbings.
I would like
I
to call our
apologize.
auditor and our audit chair to the podium to make the presentation, please, sir.
Hello, I'm Julie Johnson. I'm the audit chair currently. I've done it for, God, I don't know how many years, at least 7, I think. I would like to present Dan Kinney, who's our auditor, the partner that has run our audit this year, as well as the last several years, to give a brief presentation. So if the commissioners have any questions before we make our motion, so to speak.
Okay, good afternoon. Once again, I'm Dan Kenny, partner with Mitchell and Titus. Virtually with me is Venkana Alkunta, senior manager. We have 3 documents to present. I'm going to go through very quickly. I apologize for going fast. If I go too fast, of course, you can tell me to come back to anything. First item is the independent auditor's report. This is our opinion. Indicates the financial statements are fairly presented as of March 31 and for the year then ended. Indicates that our audit is done in accordance with generally accepted auditing standards and government auditing standards as well. If you go to page 15, this is on the financial statements. I just want to highlight a few new items compared to the previous year. This year you have a net pension asset compared to last year at March 31, 25. It was a liability. You also have a line item under deferred inflow of resources, payments received in advance of lease commencement. That's $750,000 for the EMS. That's new. Moving on to page 15, this is your Governmental fund balance sheet shows the general fund and beach replenishment fund. Those items you can see, you have your fund balance. It indicates all the different assignments and commitments. That's also in your note 10. If you go to page 16, this is of course your reconciliation of the balance sheet between the net position and fund balance. That's because you have one on a modified accrual basis and one on a current financial resources concept or full accrual basis. Okay, if you go to the next page, this is your statement of revenue, expenditures, and changes in fund balance. You'll note that there is a decrease in the general fund of approximately 1.6 million. This year, what we did, we added a supplementary schedule in the back. It's on page 46. I'll go over that in a minute. And what that does, it also has the 3 years. So this year you had a 1.6 decrease in fund balance, but in the prior 2 years, you had a positive number. Okay, moving on to page 18. Once again, this is the reconciliation between the two statements because of the two different resource concepts and modified accrual to full accrual. All right, your notes go from page 19 to 39. I want to point out on page 36, this is your significant estimate related to your pension. Once again, your pension, you had a net pension asset. Previous year, it was a liability. This one disclosure talks about if you decrease the discount rate 1% or increased it, what those numbers would look like. All right, that is a sensitive estimate. And then if you go all the way to page 46, once again, this is what I referred to earlier. This is where it shows the 3-year comparison of the actual numbers in your general fund. You could see the decrease in the current year, but then you see the increase in the 2 previous years. So for over a 3-year period, your fund balance actually increased $4,000. That is significant because if you look in your MD&A, there's a sentence that was written that basically said, over the 3-year period, you had those differences, and you still were able to maintain your fund balance and your rainy day policy in accordance with your note as well. Okay, then page 48. This is the beach replenishment fund. In your beach replenishment fund, I think in the previous draft that was presented on August 6th, there's a change made there. So the investment income number and the beach replenishment number, those numbers changed in total by the same amount. They both went down by $962K. And in your beach replenishment fund, the $100,000, that's specifically for Brown advisory fees for $45K and beach cleaning for $55K. The change that was made, there was no change in the net change in fund balance, nor was there any change in the cash number as well. Okay, so let's move on to the presentation. All right, we're going to go to page 4. Once again, we're going to be issuing an unqualified opinion. It's also known as an unmodified opinion or a clean opinion. You go to page 5, this talks about some of the adjustments that we made during the year. The general fund, we made an adjustment of $126K and then also $654K. And then we talked about the beach replenishment fund, the reclassification between the income and the expense. And then there was a past adjustment on the beach replenishment fund as well. Okay, moving along, the rest of the presentation, what it does, it goes through all the different areas, which I'm not going to do. It talks about the procedures we perform, revenue, receivables, cash and cash equivalents, investments, capital assets, the close process, liabilities, net position, and fund balance. And the next page, this is the required communication. So this is what I have to discuss with you. The plan, scope, and timing of the audit is consistent with our engagement letter. We've complied with all ethic requirements. There were no changes in your significant accounting policies. Your accounting estimates, the sensitive one was on page 36. There was no identified or any actual or suspected instances of fraud. And there were no significant difficulties encountered during the audit. Of course, we want to thank Mr. Zolper, Ms. Hall, Ms. Hauk, and Mr. Rossel for their assistance. If you go to the next page, this is where it talks about the uncorrected and corrected misstatements. We already went through that. There were no significant or unusual transactions. If you go to page 13, there were no disagreements with management. We received the rep letter. There were no consultations with other accountants. And we did issue a management letter, which we'll go over in a second. Page 14, there's no doubt about the entity to continue as a going concern for a year and a day upon issuance of the report. And there were no instances of noncompliance with laws and regs. All right, last page on technical developments, GASB 103, 104, 105. So next year in your MD&A, you're going to have 5 sections. It's going to talk about the overview of the financials. You're going to have a financial summary. You're going to have a detailed analysis of some items. They're going to talk about significant capital and long-term financial activity, and then current known facts and conditions. The next one, 104, this is where it talks about certain capital assets. If you have right to use asset, release asset, or subscription agreements, it's very detailed, more disclosure there. And then the last one, subsequent events, just clarifies what a subsequent event is and any disclosures. I am boring everyone to tears.
Not me.
Okay. All right, last thing, management letter. Okay, the management letter. We have it up. Wait for a second. Okay, so we talked about the future GASBs. Also, you guys have had some interesting transactions. You had wall and brick donations. Of course, you had EMS grants, you have state grants, you have construction costs, you have new loans. So there's a lot of different accounting related to that. I'm going to be working with management in the fall to go through some of those items. There are differences in how they're reported. So for example, when you get a loan in the general revenue fund, that's actually revenue. And then when you make a payment for that particular loan, not only is it's the principal and the interest is recorded as an expenditure.
Makes no sense to me.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why I'm going to go through it with them in the fall, so you guys, hopefully next year, you can anticipate what the general fund will look like. Okay, next item, grant coordinator function. So here the recommendation is you have grants, you're fortunate enough to have a lot of activity, you've had some success. The concern is you have a small staff, you might want to ramp up and beef up. Grants, the devil's always in the detail. You got to make sure you're in compliance with it. So it's something for you to consider. Okay, IT development. Whenever you have any IT ventures, you always want to do a post-implementation review. We want you to do that with Edmunds. Your time clock, that went pretty well. We recommended that last year. You don't need a post-implementation. It's gone well. Okay, then last year you had, I always like to have verbal comments. So last year you had a comment about the budget and the GFOA. I didn't want to formally write that, but I want you to consider that, consider the best practices, always keep that top of mind. When you get bigger and you get more money coming in, you hire more people, maybe that's something that you could consider submitting to the GFOA. And then fund balance, you guys adjusted your fund balance policy slightly. Your note in the back, that was tweaked. So great job there. All right, so that's it. I don't know if that was too fast, too slow, or just right, but I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Commissioners.
I
questions?
I was observing that the notes that I had prepared to state, he said all the highlights right there.
Got them right there?
Fund balance policy revision to stay at constant base based on budget is praised. Loan will be reported as revenue in the general fund, and staff dedicated to management and tracking the grants might be a good idea. That was the yes.
I think one of the things that, and from my perspective as we review it, the last 3 years have been a very unique situation. And unique meaning that the town manager is not just running the town and making sure that the operations are consistent. We have went out there, we raised the funds, we have spent the funds to build a new town hall that will be operational and very shortly. As Mr. Kenny said, while normal accounting, you may not see that as revenue expenditure, but it really is from a government standpoint, it's ins and outs. So while it might look like it's a negative, it's just use of those funds to build the town hall, then will get wrapped up into that capital asset in the future. So it's out of the norm. So thank you for putting that additional schedule to show that the cumulative. And comment is also that we've also been able to maintain all the other funds that we have the rainy day fund, as well as capital improvements and planning and zoning. So we've been able, as a town, to not only build this town hall, but to fund it in a very efficient manner. So, any questions for Dan?
No, I think back to previous audits we've had over the years, and it looks like we're really not down to really minor things to talk about in it, so.
Well, it's never minor in my eyes, so. I would love to have, everything, no comments, I can say nothing. That's my goal for you, right?
Right.
But I'll always find something, trust me.
Well, we hope you find something.
Yeah.
That's a job.
Yeah, that's my job.
They'll always find something.
Something.
Kate, anyone for a public comment about the audit?
No.
I was hoping we could go through the financial statements in.
In detail? Thank you, Gary.
Thank you.
All right, Dan, thanks so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Julie.
Thank you for your patience, Dan.
Julie and I are going to get a picture now.
You have to. Do you want these lifeguard names?
Oh my God.
All right.
Just before we close, I just want to say that I was really impressed with the way the audit worked this year. We were actually, I noted at our committee meeting that we were actually a week ahead of schedule from last year's meeting when we were able to put it together and put it in front of the committee. So I just want to kudos to the town folks for getting it together with Dan and Dan's team. So on that note, I would recommend that the council approve the audit this year. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Julie.
And thank you for your work, Julie, on this.
Yes.
Continued work on this.
I gotta tell you, it gets easier every year.
As long as Kenny doesn't say anything about retirement, I'll be happy. Okay, good. All right. With that, can I have any other comment?
I move that we approve the audit.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Julie.
All right.
Thank you, Dan.
Nice.
Good job, Sheena.
Good job, guys.
Great job, Sheena.
Now I'm getting on to
Allison.
item D.
Yes, you may, sir.
All right. Public hearing to consider a draft ordinance to amend chapter 171 and 185 of the municipal code to define demolition and criteria for determining of when work constitutes demolition is referred by the planning commission. Following the public hearing, the town council may deliberate and take action on that draft ordinance. Commissioner Person.
So by way of background, we referred this to the Planning and Zoning Commission because we felt that we needed to have some clear and objective standards for determining when work is performed on an existing structure actually should be considered demolition, in which case we have to not necessarily build the structure from ground up. You would have to demolish anything that's left, but you would have to bring it up to code, all of the building code requirements, meet any flood zone standards, and also correct any non-conformities. So the Planning and Zoning Commission took this up. They developed a definition of demolition, which is the voluntary, and let me put one thing out. You have three versions of the ordinance that were passed. The first one was the one that was approved by P&Z. So in that ordinance, there's a definition of demolition, which says the voluntary removal, dismantling, destruction, or replacement of structural components of a building or structure by or on behalf of the property owner where such work meets or exceeds any threshold established in section 185.22.2. So what that threshold refers to is something else that the Planning and Zoning Commission defined, and that standard is for the purposes of this chapter, a structure shall be deemed demolished whenever proposed work removes, replaces, or destroys 50% or more of the building's primary structural system during a 5-year period. That 5-year period was not in there initially, but the P&Z members thought that this sort of thing should be tracked over a 5-year period so that the property owner wouldn't be able to do small jobs along the way and not be faced with the overall demolition definition and have to meet a whole host of additional standards. Once P&Z passed this, we then, they actually passed it, but they didn't feel like they had the right metric or the exact metric for this threshold. That is, how you determine when 50% or more of the building's primary structural system is being worked on or being repaired or replaced in some way. So they passed it, but realizing there had to be some work on that metric. I worked with Dave Lyons and also with Jim Dedes, and that's the reason why we had another version. I would refer you to what's called version 2 clean. The other one, the other version is essentially the same thing. It's just that it has all of the notes and comments and that sort of thing. So, working from the clean version. The purpose of this section is to establish objective standards for determining when proposed work involving the structural components of an existing structure is sufficiently extensive that the structure should no longer be considered an existing structure and must satisfy all requirements for a new structure. In such situations, the existing structure shall be deemed demolished, and all construction, reconstruction, alterations, repairs, and improvements shall comply with the requirements for new structures in Chapter 71 Building Code, Chapter 101 Flood Damage Reduction as applicable, and all relevant provisions of the town code, town zoning code. So the standard for determining demolition, in terms of coming up with some sort of appropriate metric, the problem with the original metric was that since it dealt with structural components, you have to know how many structural components are in any given structure. And then you may be able to count how many are being demolished, removed, replaced. But you don't know that baseline unless you have a structural engineer come in and say, you've got 20 structural components here, and then you can track over time the work that's being done to those structural components. So there was a lot of discussion about what an appropriate metric might be, so we moved to a percentage of the current market value of the structure before the start of the proposed work. It's the same market value that's used for determining substantial improvement or substantial damage in the flood damage reduction section of Code Section 101. So the metric here would be, for purposes of this chapter, a structure shall be deemed demolished when the cost of proposed work that will remove, dismantle, destroy, or replace components of the building's primary structural system, plus the cumulative cost of structural work completed during the 5-year period preceding the date of building permit application for the proposed work, equals or exceeds 50% of the market value of the structure before the start of the proposed work. Now, I realize this is all about as exciting as the audit report. Unfortunately, you have to go through this. So, for purposes of this section, the primary structural system shall include foundations, load-bearing walls, floor framing, roof framing, structural beams, structural columns, and other principal structural members as determined by the building official, utilizing recognized and accepted building standards. Primary structural system would not include roofing materials, siding, windows, doors, drywall, interior finishes, floor finishes, non-layered, load-bearing partitions, cabinetry, plumbing, or electrical systems. So, if a homeowner wants to do some voluntary work, they would obviously have to apply for a building permit. But the town would then ask them, if this clearly involves some sort of structural work, the town would have to ask them to provide, presumably with their contractor, the cost of the structural work that's being done, and excluding all of those other kinds of finishing items that would be considered structural work. So that is the threshold. So that they would aggregate that, they would have that figure. I don't think we have that going historically, so we would have to begin this 5-year tracking period from the start here. But that could be tracked up fairly easily, and then that you could accumulate those costs over time and compare it against the 50% of the current market value. Let's see, a couple of other in terms of discontinuance of non-conforming uses of building, that's section 185-58. This is similar to what was already there, but basically says no building land or portion thereof devoted to a lawful non-conforming use that remains idle or unused for a continuous period of 1 year shall thereafter be used, except in conformity with the regulations of the district. So you have to do something within 1 year if you meet all of the standards. With discontinuous results from fire, flood, storm infestation, or other casualty not intentionally caused by the property owner, The lawful non-conforming use will remain discontinued for a period not to exceed 18 months following that. Time during which the property is actively undergoing permitting, insurance adjustment, repair, reconstruction, or other good faith efforts to restore the property following the casualty shall not be considered idle or unused for purposes of this section. There is a small change to 185-59, just adding the word flood in the first first line, which so it would read, if a non-conforming building is damaged by fire, flood, storm, or infestation or peril, and then in essence you can rebuild what you have. There is a succeeding paragraph which is already in the code, which talks about properties in the flood zone. That is an exception. If you have a property that is substantially damaged, you would have to meet the applicable height requirements for elevating the property. Section 71-1, there were some existing provisions on the effect of existing buildings for doing this kind of work. Really, I'm not sure it was ever applied. It was very difficult to administer. So that so section 1 through 4 have been eliminated. And I think that is it for the most part in terms of stuff.
Okay, a lot to digest. So what I was trying to, well, for any public comment? Back of the room?
Pat, you gonna weigh in?
No? All right.
Ellen, you wanna weigh in?
I have a question.
Yeah, okay.
Did you want to get your thoughts on?
No, well,
Like
I
to-
just want to, I guess that in theory, you know, what we're trying to do is we're trying to simplify things. I'm just want to make sure that we are simplifying things. And wanted Mr. Didi's potential to chime in from a building standpoint, his perspective on, is this a simplification? So, Mr. Didi's, do you have any comments before we start to deliberate here?
Gary and I chatted about it. I did have one question, and I apologize, Gary. I just wanted an understanding. In standards on section C, standards for deeming a structural demolished. I understand the structure, that's not a problem, but it says 50% of the market value of the structure. Are we talking about the structure, meaning the house? Let's say it's a house, or the actual structures that are there? That would be a problem to measure all the structures that are being placed. Do you follow what I'm saying?
Not completely. I mean, I think we're talking about the structure. I mean, it's just like the same kind of analysis that we would do if you're trying to determine if a property is proposed to be substantially improved under the FEMA.
Okay, that part I can understand. And then market value, or do you want to go by assessed value?
It's, I use the same term in this paragraph that is used in the substantial improvement, substantial damage paragraph. We do talk about 50% of the market value. So as I understand it, you're using assessed value as.
We're using, yeah, right now we're using the assessed value in 2025. And of course, it's going to be changing as time goes on.
Well, and this would as well.
Okay.
Market value.
All right, as long as I can
Same
follow,
language.
not a problem.
Yeah, so I'm all for simplifying and understanding what we're doing here. And I was trying to, I actually just pulled up, like, for example, we all were reassessed this year in terms of the market value. But what I don't see in mine, I don't know if you've seen yours, there's not a land building.
It is in the assessment.
Is it in there?
Yeah, it's in there.
I didn't see it. Maybe I didn't scan that second page then.
It's in there. Yeah. One thing that hasn't come up that I wanted to bring up is part of the comprehensive plan for the North End is preserving some of the architecture and the nature of the cottages there. And I'm sure planning and zoning, understands this, but specifically when you look at the original 1960s cottages, the most significant architectural floor plan is the one that's called the beach house. Some people call it the windjammer. It's the one that's got a bedroom, bathroom, kitchen, living room on one side. The porch is like under a breezeway, and then there's 2 bedrooms across the hall. They have to go outside. That's probably the most significant architectural in the neighborhood. Every single one of those egresses into the side yard setback because the footprint is just wider than we currently allow. So anyone who would purchase there and wants to improve it, which I think people do, if you're spending $1.5 million on this little cottage, you don't want the 60s cottage the way it is with, you know, the no heat and stuff. You're gonna wanna do some stuff. And you could take Ann Cashin, for example. She just sold her house at the corner of Jersey and Baird. She decided she really wanted to fix it up and keep it nice. So she had to have the house elevated. And those houses are all built on piers, not real foundations. So they ended up ripping everything out foundation-wise and built a whole new foundation so she could get a true four-season house out of it. And I'm sure some work went on with the walls. I don't know how much of it was structural or not some work went on with the walls. And my concern is I want us to be able to do what the comprehensive plan says, which is if someone moves in and they want to be able to improve the house and make it up to current standards, maybe put a small addition on it because the inside space is only like 900 square feet, they should really be allowed, we should find a way to accommodate that in the zoning code. And part of that is going to be some structural work to get it done. On the flip side, I don't want people abusing things, which we know some people have kind of taken advantage of, and they feel like I'm grandfathered for my footprint and I can build whatever I want. And that it shouldn't be that way either, right? I think this is a good attempt at it. I'm worried that 50% limitation on structural would potentially hamstring people in the future like Ann Cashin who wanted to kind of turn a house into a four-season house while kind of keeping it the way it is.
Well, your statement is complex and confident. I think it's a little more specific than I think is really there. But it does talk a lot about the character. But that aside, this involves situations where a homeowner would be voluntarily removing, dismantling, destroying, and replacing structural components of the building. You certainly could do an addition. I don't know the specific circumstance that you mentioned where they had to raise the entire building with a new foundation. I don't know how that would fall.
Yeah.
I just don't know. But I mean, you know, if you're raising the entire building, are you in some sense removing the structural components, which you may not?
Well, you had to raise it up to build the foundation underneath it, and then you put it back down. It's basically what you do.
But so in that situation, you may not actually be removing or dismantling or destroying or replacing structural components. You may be better supporting them.
Well, in that situation, they put in an entire new foundation. You know,
I mean, I have no idea how much that's.
yeah, and that's kind of what I'm getting at. I mean,
But that's a success story, right, that you're describing?
Yeah.
And you're concerned that this ordinance would prohibit?
That type of thing.
Let me make a comment on that. In this particular instance, it won't impact it because they've already applied for this particular house. It's covered because it's already been permitted.
Yeah, that work's long done. I mean, she did that a couple of years back.
Well, there's another house on your street that's going to go through that on Chesapeake.
Okay.
And doing the exact same thing. Now, they have been permitted, and they wanted to get their permit ahead of time. I think we're possibly concerned about changes. But they did do that, and they have an elevation, a certificate to improve the interior as well as raise the foundation and improve it. Would that come into play? I'm not quite sure if they would come into play. I think they want to keep the same structure, like you said, Commissioner Jasinski, and I think the foundation is, if you want to consider the foundation as the main structure, yeah, they are going to have that and elevate it and put a better foundation in. We haven't gone into assess value of what it is. You know, that'd be an interesting point because I didn't do that I'm only doing it for flood areas.
So here's my thoughts on this. I think this is too important to kind of quickly do it, and this is not an emergency type of change to the zoning code. What I'd like us to do, since we've already had our public hearing, is table this, and we can kind of noodle on some way to potentially protect people who want to do that while still getting something that's clear for the town leadership, that people can't really just build a whole new house and still can kind of keep advantage of their extended side yard setbacks. You know, that's really what we need to come up with.
Commissioner Gibbons?
And as we look at potential revisions to this, I want to look at line 117, that if the repairs need to be done within 1 year and 6 months, if there's been a fire, flood, storm, infestation, or other thing. My family was burned out in Pacific Palisades and they still don't have their money. So it may take longer than 18 months to get your insurance money to be able to rebuild.
Okay.
I don't know what to tell you would be the right number, but it's very possible that it,
This is an existing part of the code, this is not something that, this has been in the code for quite some
yes.
time.
So as we're,
There's a line in there though about if you're actively permitting or trying to work on it, that clock doesn't start.
Okay.
If you basically, if you're, it's just so it doesn't sit idle and you don't have a lifetime thing, but there's a
Okay.
clause in there that protects you if you're actively trying to work it and get permits going on.
Okay.
I think we should table this too. That's a lot to digest there. I gotta think about a lot of, but I like your idea.
Okay. The goal of what we do here is to try to simplify things, not only for the residents, but also for the town and the administration of how they do things. And that's kind of how this has been discussed and how it's moved up to council for their review. I believe, I could be very wrong, but I believe that this conversation started when a house accidentally fell down, which is part of the intentional demolition, is part of the conversation here. And to not have unintended consequences, of course, in terms of the demolition. You are right, I did look up the property value, I did see where you can click on where the difference is. They pretty much just said, hey, if your house is worth $700,000, we're gonna put $350 to land and $350 to, it's almost pretty close that it's 50-50. It would be very easy for, it's different for you obviously with the structure of your home. But like for Paul and I who live in townhouses, we're kind of locked, like there's not really much we can do. I can think of my neighbor, Mr. Forrester, sorry Ron, bringing you up, hopefully you don't see this. He has one of those old cottages or old
The rancher.
right on between Buena and McKinley. He would love to put a second story up, but to put a second story up would be a significant use and he would lose his porches because it's just the way that it's, you have to,
Right.
he's very close. So, what do you think?
Well, the only issue I have with tabling this is, who's going to do what from here?
Right.
And P and Z has been through this, they struggled with the metric. We then struggled with a different metric based on the market value of construction. Are we talking about a threshold that's not 50%, but should be 75%? I don't think it should be 100%. I'm just not sure, how do we proceed?
I mean, one idea I had, I don't know if Fred's gonna like it, is because the only houses that really have.
Way to
this
sell it
problem-
on the beginning too.
Exactly, I'm just kind of raising the cost. Is the houses that are in the setbacks really are all just one story. There's no houses that are over one story or have this issue. And I'm wondering if we could somehow exempt single-story structures from the demolition requirements and put language in that basically says if you're a one-story house, you're not subject to this step 50% demolition rule, and you're prohibited from adding a second story if you choose to use it. Just do it that way. Yeah,
You
so
basically
you
wouldn't be
can't-
adding a second story.
So
You
if
do
you-
whatever
if-
you want on your first story.
If you want to build a second story on a one-story house, then you would have to conform to the 50% demolition rule. But if you want to basically have some more leeway to do what you want to do on these older structures, we're not going to subject it to you, but then you can't put a second story on your house. Because it's really these one-story houses that have this issue.
Well, you're assuming that something significant has to be done structurally in order to others' houses to add a second story.
Yeah, you probably would. You might be able to stay under the 50% level. I don't really know. I don't have the math.
Yeah.
And the costs of what these cost. I can tell you though, for the house type I described, anyone who's trying to make it a year-round house and be able to use it all the time is going to have to put a new foundation. It's going to have to put a new foundation in because they're just not piers.
Yeah.
They're just exposed from what.
But I don't, so the The problem there would be if the cost of the new foundation exceeded 1/2 of the market value of the structure. And I'm not an expert, but I don't think it's shocking how little it costs to raise a house and put a new foundation. I think.
I have no idea what it costs, and I have no idea, like, when you look at the structure, what's a 60-year-old wood beach cottage that's 900 square feet of interior space worth it, you know what I mean? I don't know what say that structure's worth either.
I can give you the estimate. I can give you the estimate of the recent one that we did for a one-story home, and it was $60,000 to raise it and put a new foundation.
Okay, I mean, the structure should probably be worth more than $120,000.
Yes.
Well, yeah, I mean, the county.
Well, they're doing renovations also, so that's a separate issue. But usually, when people elevate, they're going to do renovations in the home, so we would marry them together. I would almost. I guess if we just go by the structure, we're okay. The renovations, if it's not involved in structure, it wouldn't be included in this. That's my understanding.
Correct.
Right, so, and it's not 50% of the, total dimensions of the elements, it's 50% of the value is what you're pivoted to, right? So, and the market value is determined as by the Sussex County Assessment.
That's what the town is using, for the substantial improvement.
But I think someone could come forward and say, that's my assessed value, but I can offer you additional evidence in an attempt to persuade you that the market value is higher.
Sure.
And the county will accept an affidavit in the case where the newly assessed property is assessed higher than it's currently selling for, because that is happening, whereas that never happened before because the assessed values were based on 1970. So I think that's good evidence, because it's good evidence that the property's been assessed at a certain level, but it doesn't foreclose someone from arguing that the value should be different.
Well, again, what we're trying to do here is simplify for the town. And I don't believe what's written here, I think if this provides that, planning and zoning's done their job. I agree with Commissioner Persinger on where we do go from here if we're gonna kick this back in terms of doing something. But I also see your point, David, in terms of the one stories. Now, I like the idea of tying it to, let's say, if somebody wants to play a game, they're gonna play a game, right? So if you tie it to their property values, if they want to go to, before they even come to us, go to Sussex County, go, I don't think my property's worth $700,000. It's actually worth $1.4 million. Can you change that for me? They might.
Zillow rating on it?
They might, but I think if we tie it to the property values of the prior year, whenever it was that it's been done, and we look at what then they might have the opportunity of saying, no, I know you want to do the work for me, but I need you to only tell me it's going to be $400,000, not $800,000, so I can get this done. And then it ends up being $500,000. The work's already done. We give them a certificate of occupancy. So there's games that are going to be played, but it's really forthcoming at town hall that they can go $400,000, $900,000, sign off or not sign off. So I think planning and zoning has done the work they can here. I don't have a problem with eliminating the one stories if you think it's going to be more plausible. But again, the idea is that the setbacks that we've established through PEAN, that they are in the future requirements of everything in town. And that's why, I'm not saying that I like them, we spent a lot of time 7, 8 years ago to get here.
Yeah.
And there's reasons why.
I think to tackle this here, can we put in some verbiage that we're going to use county assessed values as the benchmark for it? Is it do we define it that way?
I don't think we want to prohibit someone from arguing that their value is different.
I was trying to make it simple and black and white, but I guess that's not possible.
We come up with a property appraiser comes in and values a structure that's higher than the county. We can certainly argue that with the town. The bottom line here, the eventual thing that could happen could all end up in
Board of Adjustment.
Right. And then, go ahead, Jim.
We've had a lot of discussion with FEMA regarding this and internally regarding how assessed values are done by the county. Now, you have to understand, they only do it once every 5 years. So properties, building homes and structures are going to change in value as you go 2-3 years down the road. The answer to that is we've said that if you disagree with the assessed value, we would say then get your own appraiser to come in who's licensed and certified to appraise, not the entire, just the structure. We will accept that. And that's the only thing that we can do. And this is what, when we discussed this the other day with FEMA, they thought that was a reasonable way to do this.
Okay.
So I'll drop that piece of it, then that makes sense. But what David was talking about with the one story, it's gonna stay a one story within the same footprint, but if you add the second story, now it's gonna trigger a different. So I'd like to, if we're gonna vote on that, if we could make that change to it, I could go with that.
I'm having trouble with the logic of that. I mean, I don't.
Well, I think there are a lot of people who want to kind of preserve their cottage. They want to put an addition, master bedroom or something on the back end of it, who have these cottages. And a lot of them want to basically raise them up, put a new foundation in. In some cases, they're going to have some issues with the walls that are there. I mean, they don't even use standard dimensional framing that we currently use today. I mean, these houses were built, you would think used to have one. These houses were built with non-modern dimensional lumber and stuff. I mean, there's a lot of different things that can come up structurally for these people as they try to modernize the house.
But I thought we passed an ordinance last year that if I wanted to build or have an addition that would right now violate the setbacks, I couldn't. Like, for example, my backyard, my fence is 8 feet. And I wanted to put a second story on that above, I can't.
Correct.
So even in that situation, if they're trying to put a second story on there, they can't.
What some people want to do, candidly, and this is Jim Deedes' they'll kind of want to rebuild the first story of the house completely according to its current footprint, like maintain that footprint and setbacks, and then the second story just won't go out as far, right? So the first story will stick out. There's 1 or 2 examples in town of people who've done that.
So the second story would fit
Within the footprint.
the house
In
shape.
the building envelope. Within the current code, within the
And it lose
setback.
part of your first
And there are a few
story.
people who've done that, okay? So I'm trying to kind of come up with something that allows people to preserve what they've got house-wise, but modernize it. Yet at the same time, prevent the type of stuff that I think you guys have seen where people are trying to kind of use the footprint to build an entirely new house.
So what your modification away from this clean version 2 is just to, if you are renovating and keeping a single story cottage, that they can.
You're not subject to the 50%
You're not
cap,
subject to 50.
but you are prohibited in the future from adding a second story.
Correct.
Yeah, I'd be very comfortable with that.
I just don't see the logic of doing that at all. I don't get it.
I think it's because the perceived value of a single story cottage is going to be less than you're going to hit that 50% mark a lot quicker. Yeah.
So,
Again, we're talking about structural components.
so the foundation counts as one structural component. And if you were to put walls where the screened area is, that's another change, right?
Not necessarily.
No?
I mean, if you're replacing their 4x4s or something, supporting it, you just kind of build an enclosure within this, you're not really changing anything.
So just the floor would be just.
Yeah, if you're talking about just doing the foundation, elevating the existing structure, putting a new foundation in, and putting another story on top of that, you can do that, causing structural changes in terms of, again, removing, dismantling, destroying, and replacing components of the building's primary structure. That's below 50% of the market value of the structure before you start, then.
It's a full demolition. Yeah.
I mean, it's not demolition.
Right. I'm sorry. Yes.
Right. So I just think I'm having trouble with the logic of what it's really doing.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think in all likelihood, if you only had to do foundation work, you probably are going to be under that 50% threshold. Okay, if you elevate your house, build a new foundation, put it back down on there. But your contractor's going to look at the walls and basically what you're doing, and they say, hey, look, I've got to rebuild these things. You probably have situations where the walls have deteriorated because they're over 60 years old. Versus, hey, I really want to reframe these out. You're going to have situations where they want to do a lot of work. Now there are people in the North End, to the point of the need for this, There are people in the north end who are kind of using the existing footprint and basically building something entirely new, right? That really is maybe a little bit similar to what was there before, but really not the same thing. You know, they're just kind of starting over. So I get the need for it. I just don't want to see people being pushed into tearing down a house that they would otherwise rather keep.
And what would make them do that? That's what.
Well, if you spend $1.5 million, you don't want a 3-season house, you definitely want a 4-season year-round house. So that starts at a minimum, you're lifting the house up and putting in a new foundation and then doing all the systems around that. And then the question is, what else are you doing? It's like 900 square feet internal finished space, you're gonna add an addition, the addition doesn't count to that, you know?
You said the addition does not count.
It does not count.
Right, it does not.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, so that doesn't count towards that. Your contractor may want to do some walls work. I mean, what I want to get comfortable with is that someone trying to do this isn't going to hit that 50% clip level. And that's the part that I'm just a little bit unsure of. I think if it's only a foundation, it would only be that, but candidly, I want to talk to people who are doing these other things. They're saying, are you going to hit that 50% clip level with what you want to do? The ones on Chesapeake Street, I figured out, which, that Jim was mentioning. I'd like to ask them. I'd like to call up Ann Cashin and say, how much did your project cost? What did your contractor need to do with your walls and roof structure?
What was the assessed value of your home beforehand?
Yeah, I want to have all those facts and understand that these types of projects won't put people in danger of hitting this 50% threshold.
So is that information that you could gather, that you would be comfortable gathering, you could bring back to
Yeah,
us next
absolutely.
week? I mean, next month? And then you could,
Yeah, that's what I'd like to do, is I want to know that it's comfortable for people who are to these projects.
We found a solution.
thank you. Mr. Mayor, may we table it with that occurring? Till
We will
next
table
month?
to next month, provided that we're going to research the mathematics around some of the north sides right before we sell them to Rehoboth. And, yes, we'll table, motion to table.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Public hearing considering a draft ordinance to amend Chapter 1 and 185 of the Municipal Code to define landing and establish permitted architectural projections and allowable encroachment into the required yards as referred by the Planning Commission. Following the public hearing, the Town Council may deliberate and take action on the draft ordinance. Commissioner Persinger.
So this is largely about architectural projections as opposed to landing, defining the landing, that is part of it. But I think primarily we're talking about architectural features and how far they might extend into a required yard, whether it's a side yard, front yard, whatever. The existing code has some guidance. Basically, what we have in the draft ordinance will replace that guidance, because this is, I think, what has been proposed by P&Z is much clearer. The new sections are again on essentially on line 40. So there are now defined limits on how far a roof eave overhang may project into a required yard. We have guidelines here for gutters, chimneys, windowsills, belt courses, trim, cornices. Some of these things I don't even know what they are. Bay windows, there are some specifications here for how far a bay window may, both in terms of the size of the bay window as well as how far it can project into a required yard. Awning, canopies, open steps, scoops, and landing, providing pedestrian access to the principal entrance of the structure, and conditions under which those landings, including steps and stoops, can exist and not constitute another room. Somebody's attempted another room, so it can't be enclosed. And if you have something like that, it would still not reduce the minimum required planning, green space, or open space that's established in the code. Window air conditioning is covered here, ground-mounted air conditioning units, heat pumps, and other similar equipment is covered here. Outdoor showers are covered here. I don't think those are included anywhere else. That is essentially the essence of what we have here. And, you can take a look at the limits for each individual projection. Some of them are not different than what's in the current code, but some of them have been increased a bit. We did get some comments just before the meeting today, questioning whether or not fireplace projections in particular are sufficient. We have 24 inches as the maximum projection for fireplaces. There's some thought that with the newest design fireplaces, 36 inches might be necessary. There is also a comment on outdoor showers.
Yep.
Both in terms of is the guidance that we have here on outdoor showers sufficient for handicapped access, and just the modern way that houses and outside the showers are being constructed currently. I don't have necessarily any objections to those comments.
No, fireplace too, Gary. That one.
The fireplace and the outdoor showers, I really don't have any.
And fire, that's not chimney, it's fire.
It is, it would be part of the structure. There would be a chimney, I think, on the outside.
A chimney.
And that could not extend, as well as maybe some structure. Need something. Let's see what the specifics say.
Well, these are, what we have in this document, the recommendations from P&Z, correct?
What we have in is recommendations from P&Z. Chimneys may project not more than 24 inches. So that would be, and the fireplace would lead to the chimney, and that would be allowable projection into a required yard.
I was reading this originally when I was driving around, and not while I was driving around, while I was in Virginia Beach, and then I was driving around. To make it clear, I was not reading the ordinance and driving. Clear? Okay. And many of the bay windows there go all the way down to the ground, so that would then be part of the required setback, as opposed to this, which seems to be 2 feet up. So the bay windows I was seeing came all the way down to the ground, and that then becomes, okay. This is something
Bay window can be
suspended.
two things. It can be just a window, but some people build it so that the floor space of the unit goes out. And I think the way you've written it here is such that it really is just a window. It's not part of it. You can't walk out into it. You're not going to gain floor square footage.
I'm gonna get a little greenhouse.
But you could get a big window in your
Window,
living room
okay.
to look out of, right? Yeah. So.
All right. Do you have anything else you want to say before I open up for public comment?
No, nothing else.
Okay. Kate, anybody online?
David, go ahead.
Yeah, David Moskowitz. I'm just utterly confused by this because what did P&Z pass and how did it get changed? It's not clear why if planning and zoning passes something, it gets changed without a public meeting. From the document, it looks like a Jim Deeds. P&Z had passed 24 inches. There was a public meeting. Everyone agreed on 24 inches. And then Jim Deeds suggests 12 inches, so it was changed to 12 inches. With the outdoor showers, P&Z did not pass additional language, but Jim Deeds suggested it, that, quote, a residential unit may not have more than one outdoor shower on the property, and an outdoor shower may not be more than 25 square feet. There's properties in Dewey Beach that have a double shower, and there's properties that are above, have more than 25 feet. So it's what planning and zoning passed, not what Jim Deeds passed. If he wants to put a separate document online suggesting his changes, but it should not be consolidated. And if he wants those changes, it should then go back to P&Z because he missed the meeting. He was on vacation. He doesn't just to override P&Z. The third thing is at the meeting, the grandfather clause was supposed to be applying to everything, not just item E. So it lets you maintain, repair, or replace in kind structures as long as it doesn't build up on it. It was supposed to be for all these documents. Otherwise, you're going to make a lot of these properties non-conforming. P&Z agreed and they passed it, but somehow it got written to only apply to one thing and not everything. So the three things I would like to see is one, undo the Jim Deeds change and make it go back to 24 inches from 12 inches. Undo the additional language from Jim Deeds about showers. You can't have more than one outdoor shower on the property and it does more than 25 feet. Put in the grandfather language. And then from what I heard about the chimneys makes sense and to allow perhaps per fire code to allow it up to be above 24 inches because the fire marshal may have their own rules and they may say 38 inches. So those would be the 4 things. Thank you. But if you are going to change it per Jim Deeds, let it go back to P&Z.
Okay, I will take some responsibility for not pointing out that there were some discussions between the P&Z chair and Mr. Dedes, and some of these changes were changes that the chair of P&Z made prior to sending it to us for our consideration. So yeah, I don't think we have to change it back, and we can certainly discuss it and decide on our own whether or not it should be 12 inches or 24 inches, and whether or not you can have more than one outdoor shower. I think these are in essence P&Z's recommendations. There were a couple of changes I should have pointed this out. On the last point on prohibited encroachments into setbacks, I'm actually not sure. This is language that was provided by the P&Z chair after the P&Z meeting. And I have not discussed that particular language.
So we're okay if we discuss that publicly now, correct? Right.
Certainly, it's well within the heading of
The agenda item.
All right,
okay.
so
Let's talk about it.
talk about it. What comments do you have, Commissioner Barron?
I'm okay with what the chair and Jim Dedes have talked about. I mean, I think they're good suggestions. That's my personal opinion. I don't know if anybody agrees or disagrees with me, but.
Are we done with public comment, or?
Yeah, there's nobody, yeah, right?
Is what-
Okay, I'm sorry. Yes, we're done with public comment.
So I think we just all need to keep in mind, this is to, originally you could only have basically a roof gable in the side yard setback, and we're trying to kind of allow a little bit more flexibility, and I kind of get the need for it. But we also got to keep in mind, no one's really forcing people to build to the side yard and then put a fireplace. That's a custom built fireplace that goes out. No one's forcing people to build, 2 large outside showers. Mine's 3 by 5 and it's perfectly fine. It's 15 square feet. So, you're basically saying, look, if you want to put it inside your setback, it's limited to 25 square feet, and you can only have one. You want a second one, you got to keep it outside the setbacks. I mean, that's just kind of what that is. As far as the fireplaces go, I did take a quick measurement. My wood-burning fireplace projects 24 inches from the structure. It's not in the setback, it's just 24 inches from the structure. And my neighbor who put in a gas fireplace, theirs is just a little over 12. I mean, it really doesn't project hardly at all. So people do have options to have fireplaces in this 2-foot roll. Most people building houses, they tend to use the prefabricated ones. Some people building a high-end, larger home do get the custom on-site ones that probably require a little bit more space. But you don't have to start right at the beginning. You have other options to pull it in a bit. So I kind of like the idea that most of these things, with the exception of the outside shower, are in that 24-inch zone, because your side yard setback's only 8 feet to begin with. The outside shower is now 3 feet from someone's thing, so I think limiting that to 1, about 25 feet is reasonable, fun take.
What about if it's 8 feet long and it's 3 feet wide?
Yeah, it's just the square footage, right?
24.
Commissioner Gibbings?
As currently written, C does say only 1 outdoor shower. It doesn't say within the setback and stuff, unless I'm misreading it. Line 87 or line 90.
So this is specifically when it's within the setback. I don't think it applies if it's not in the setback, would it? Would the stuff under 80, line 80 to 90 apply if it's not within the setback?
Clarification would be
1.
It looks, so I would have said no, and then looking at the language, it looks like it might. There's a whole section on outdoor showers and the proposal that a residential unit may not have more than 1 outdoor shower. Now, I don't know if that means 1 outdoor shower head or 1 outdoor shower facility that could have more than 1 shower head in it.
What about more than like I want
We could
two.
just add within the setback to the end of the first sentence on number 4.
Because you could have one within your buildable footprint.
And then put another one within the setback.
Right.
Setback, yeah.
This is about setback.
So residential unit may not have more than one outdoor shower that encroaches in the
In the
setback. Or that occupies a setback, something like that.
I appreciate that clarification.
I think this fits what we're trying to solve here.
I do too.
All right. Motion?
Motion to approve this with that one change.
I want to make sure I understand, we all understand paragraph E. So unless it's expressly authorized elsewhere in the chapter, or unless an existing encroachment lawfully existed prior to the effective date of this ordinance and it's maintained, repaired, or replaced in kind, then the following structures and improvements that are listed below shall not encroach in the required yard. So you could have a balcony above the first floor that encroaches, but it's there prior to the ordinance, and there's a problem, right? It's just, we're talking about new structure.
Right. Right.
So this seems to be a reasonable grandfathering clause, in essence, as I read it. I'm reading it differently than I am.
I think it's,
Yeah,
No, same.
I agree.
All right.
And we'd had a number of questions about landing, about the steps going up to the front of a house. This makes it clear that you can have a balcony along the way.
All right, so we got a motion, right?
Motion? Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Let me find out where we are.
F.
Thank you. All right, public hearing to consider a draft ordinance amend chapter 185-31 of the municipal code regarding permitted signage in residential districts. Following the public hearing, the town council may deliberate and take action on the draft ordinance. Mr. Dedes.
Okay, thank you. What this is trying to do is adapt what's in the policy or the procedures that the town building office has been allowing. Right now, the current code says that you have to have a sign no further away than the structure of the property. So in the front yard, you'd have to have it 7 feet from the front of the entry area, basically. So right now, what we're asking is most people, and from what our understanding, and this goes way beyond my time, signs have been allowed to be placed as long as they're on their property and not in the right of way. And we're asking that an adjustment be made to allow for that, instead of putting it back 7 feet. In some cases, advertising signs and rental signs and things like that, no one would ever see it.
So if it's a for sale or for rent sign, they're allowed to put it as long as it's on their property and not in.
That's correct.
That seems simple enough.
Any public comment, Kate? Here in the room?
Pat, you want to weigh in on this? Ellen?
All right. To me, this is pretty simple.
Yep, I'll motion.
Motion? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Love 5 o'clock. Review and discuss July financials. Ms. Hall.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. As we near the end of the summer season, our seasonal revenue streams are coming in to a close. However, their activity this year has put us right where we expected. In addition, certain year-round streams are also doing well, which bodes well for the rest of the year. Transfer tax is over 50% of the annual budget already. There's no guarantee this will continue. However, it puts us in a good position of only needing roughly an average of $50,000 per month for the rest of the year. Building permits are also basically 50% of the projected revenue. This year's revenues are $70,000 ahead of last year at the same time. Accommodations tax is due in October for the summer season. If history holds true, then we should be budgeting that line item also. As mentioned last month, we are fully live in Edmonds, and the monthly reports are being created from Edmonds, which saves time and ensures accuracy in reporting. I have been exploring the dashboard that gives up-to-date data information on all financial matters. In September, we will be expanding this access to the department heads and training them so they can keep track of their expenses in real time. Thank you again, Commissioners, for approving the purchase of the finance module for accounting, as well as your patience and understanding as we progress towards a smoother running accounting function.
Excellent.
Thank you, Saul.
Thank you, Sheena.
When I look at the summary that's online, the line item that jumps out at me when I'm looking at the finance summary is the town administrative expenses, which is $150,000 over budget. Everything else is somewhat reasonable. When I look at the detail, it would appear that a majority of that's under dues and publication subscriptions. Can you tell me what that is?
The dues and publications, the police body cam is reimbursed by the state. So we have to pay the subscription out. We have to pay for the subscription, and then we get it back in a deposit from the state.
So we won't get that $85,000 back from the state
Yes.
in the future?
We've gotten it back, however, that will go away next year.
The reimbursement?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is there a reason why it's under the town and not down under the police?
Because when we moved to Edmonds, we consolidated the dues and subscriptions, anything that is town-wide. And since the body cams do assist the entire town. That's
All right,
why.
we'll talk about that for next budget season when we get through this, because to me, it's not necessarily a town expense, it's a police expense, it's a requirement, but we're obviously going to need that in the budget.
Yes, sir.
And then the other line, obviously the auto maintenance is an issue, but the professional fees, the 48 versus 23 in budget actual, that's
They're-
25,000?
With bringing everything and learning everything, we have not taken the comp plan deposit that was made and allocated, it got taken out of the town budget instead of the comp plan fund.
Oh, so that should be out of
Yes.
the other fund? Okay, all right. That's all I had.
Hey, Sheena, if you could just put a note that when we're doing next year's budget, to allocate that $85,000 for the body cams.
To the police.
The police.
Yes.
I had the same questions you had looking at the summary. The other problem I have is that it's very hard I really couldn't reconcile what's in the file summary operating with the full data.
That's this month's step.
Okay.
I've got a message in with our my admin's dashboard rep to be able to, that's the next step.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Sheena.
H, discussion and possible action regarding the draft RFP for investment services as referred by the Finance Committee. Commissioner Gibbings.
The RFP is attached and posted for your review. The committee worked diligently on making sure that it covered everything that everybody's experience thought should be there. Iris, our chair, cannot be here, but Commissioner Bauer and I both are liaisons, so we can hopefully answer any questions the other commissioners might have.
All right, we'll start with, anything else? Anything else you want to add?
Yeah, I'd spoken to Iris earlier today, and there was an email that we received from a constituent here, and there was the suggested update that I think actually is probably a good idea. If we could update our draft RFP to further define the 1 and 3 year historical performance as one of the measurements for awarding it. I think it'll make it easier for us to receive bids that are all on the same playing field, as opposed to interpreting. So I think that was a good add to it. And
Yes, there was also the additional add about sealed bids.
sealed bids, yeah. And I think that's a standard practice, correct? We need to spell that out in the RFP.
Might as well, though. There's no reason not.
It's a sealed bid and we open them all at the same time, right? So I think that should be in there. And then the intent in the contract is that we try to put constraints on the investment committee to do the review policy every 5 years. our investment policy had not been revisited in 14 years, I guess, is when we last bid this out. So a lot's changed in 14 years in the investment community. So, at least it puts the constraints on us as opposed to the vendor. We're awarding them for 5 years, and then we'll talk about renewals. Well, how about if we address it every 5 years?
Correction, we did, we have modified it twice. One time we modified it, the next time we modified it and took it back. So it has been reviewed since I've been the liaison.
Right, but 14 years with the last time we
Same.
bid this out.
Yes,
So I think it
correct.
just puts, it puts the onus back onto the investment committee to look at this every 5 years at minimum.
Public comment, none?
David, go ahead.
Yeah, David, thank you for taking my first two suggestions. For the third suggestion, as I said, I don't understand why the town would enter a fixed term agreement. You don't have to with a vendor. I'm not saying you have, as a town, have the option to bid it out every 5 years, 3 years, 2 years, or however much you want. But in this practice, and it's not just Brown, it's the last three investment providers for the town. The town has never had a fixed contract. When you open an account with like Vanguard or Schwab, you don't sign a contract with them per se. You sign an agreement with them, but not like a fixed term of 3 years, 5 years. Investment expenses are going down as the town has seen. So if you do a fixed contract, it could actually cost you money. So I think you need to separate. The town has a choice to not bid this out for another 3 years or 5 years, but there's no reason to sign a 5-year contract with an investment company that ties you to these higher rates. What you want to do is, in the RFP is basically say, if you change the rates from the bid, then you have a chance to leave, and it will stop any company from doing it, especially since the town has several million, was it 7 million to invest. The company is not just going to double the rates. It doesn't work like that. You guys are thinking about a standard government contract, not investments.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? All right. Any other comments concerning this RFP? Council?
Yeah, just a question about the anticipated that the town of Ely would require access to approximately 10% of the funds within 90 days. I'm not sure why we need that. What portfolio could be liquidated within 90 days? I don't see how that is helpful. It could be potentially be confusing to bidders, but I don't know. I just don't,
The thought-
why would we be able to liquidate a portfolio in 90 days? Sort of less.
The thought was money we might need to have emergently. And so then it would not be in a long-term investment.
Yeah, but even long-term investments, anything you live with, you can sell.
Sure.
So it's easy to get at. But anyway, that's not a big deal. But the major comment that I have here is that the only reason we're really doing this is to see if there's something better. Correct. We're gonna do. And I don't think we have a clear statement of what our current baseline is for Brown Advisory in terms of custodial fees, manager expenses, benchmarks, and other fees as well. If we had a clear statement of what that is, then we've got a baseline to compare all these bids. Yes, I think we need that. We'll be able to understand whether or not there's something better.
When I look at this, I look at the cost structure, and then I look at the qualitative measures of who do you want doing it, right? And if they're, even in the ballpark, cost-wise, you're gonna go with, because they're managing your money, you're gonna go with the qualitative aspects of who you want managing the money. And so when you're doing something like that, I think you kind of almost need to trust that the process can't be that fixed and rigid, because you need the ability to do a qualitative assessment. And I need this from my perspective, I need this committee to say, these are the guys who have the chops, and they're reasonably close in price to these other people, and this is who we should go with. And I personally wouldn't be second guessing. I wouldn't have the ability to do that.
So Gary, I mean, we published what our current results are from Brown. So in the discussion that we had was any bidder's going to go and look at that. I'm responding to this bid. I'm like, well, what are they getting now? What are they paying in fees, and try to get an understanding of, So I wouldn't know if I'm bidding against this, I want to try to win this. I'm probably using that as my target of what I'd like to beat. Now, they may not be able to beat it, or they may be able to, and I think that's up to the individual respondent. It could come back that Brown is our best option, and it may come back that somebody else has a better suggestion for us. But, we're really looking forward to some of the input that we can get from these respondents too, saying, hey, you need to, there's some things we can do that you're currently not getting. You don't know what you don't know going into it.
I understand. The problem is, I don't think we have a clear statement of what our fee structure is around advisory right now. I mean, there's been some, conversations about, well, it's about 1%, and that's what the advisor told us, but there should be a specific breakdown of what the fees are, what they're going for, what the custodial fees are, specific explanation, not explanation, but at least listing, description, whatever, of what the benchmarks are. You've got to have that as a baseline so you can compare the bids that come in against something.
Right.
I have no problem providing that as part of this, even if the historical statements is, to see what we've had as balances or even projected balances of what we're gonna have, especially post, construction of the town hall.
Yeah, and we would use the last one we got from Brown as the benchmark.
To make a few comments also, I liken this, like, I want us to put it out the RFP, I want us to look at, you and I do things in reverse, David. I would always eliminate the organizations that weren't qualified off the top, like, if they're not a known investment firm, it's, we're not taking Mike's Investments, it's like, all right, that's gone. But then I'd look at the cost structure and their historical returns and the type of customers. So I'd look at but I think that's part of the process. I don't disagree with the comment that was made about the term and making it an open-ended term. So if we find that there is a better product or a better service that's out there, that we have the ability to move it, I think it just keeps everyone on their toes, similar to our existing banking RFP that went out. And I wouldn't be opposed as if that, that what comes back to for review and what council does also approve potentially is what similar that we did, where these are qualified bankings that we could have our money. If you remember when we moved over to the existing banking, we have the ability with, I think it was 2 different banks that we can place our funds so that we always can have the best interest available. I know personally, I have multiple money managers so that I can see how to compete and where to move things around. So just as a suggestion.
I think a good suggestion.
No problem with that.
Okay, so.
I would just motion to approve it with the changes you just talked about.
Does that cover everything?
I'm not sure that the 1 and 3 year historical analysis, I mean, all seem to be favorable toward that, but how that gets written, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the specific wording is. It's a good suggestion because, you don't want somebody kind of cherry picking and saying, these are the best investments best performing investments over the last 1 or 3 years that fit the kinds of categories of investments that are acceptable in our policy. So you want to prevent that, and some sort of standardization that has to be worded in a place that it's understandable as well to us. I don't want to, I'm not going to vote for this unless there's a commitment to get a clear baseline statement of what our fee structure is with Brown, in terms of advisory fees, custodian fees, management expenses, commissions, administrative, other costs, whatever we need to have. So money, we give Brown money, there's money that stays with Brown, or goes to Brown as a fee structure. We need to know
Kate, do you have
specifics of what those are.
Have that?
If we have a clear statement of it, fine. If we don't,
Brown's-
at some point we're going to be asked to.
Sure.
Brown's fees, results.
Would you feel comfortable approving it? And I'll ask Ms. Hall this question. Is it easy enough to distinguish if we were looking at the 26 and 25, 24 audit, using those audit numbers as looking at what our investment costs were, and to understand where the buckets would be? Like, is it easy enough based upon what we get from Brown to say, this is a custodial fee, this is a management fee, this is,
I usually just look at the summary page, and it just lumps fees together. I can look deeper into the reports.
do we have the prior, but we have the agreement that we have with Brown?
I don't know where that is.
Well, these are going to be percentages.
Yeah.
I mean, you can look at dollar, but that's not going to tell you much. You really want to know what the percentage is.
Right. That's what I was hoping it might say, 1% of the 6
Yeah,
million.
I'm not aware that that exists anywhere in the Brown reports, but,
Well,
they're charging this on some basis, I'm just not sure we know exactly what it is.
I don't think there's any harm, if you don't want to vote, it's fine. I don't think there's any harm in putting this RFP out with some of the stipulations that we have. And if there's additional information that we can find or we can get from Brown in terms of I don't know why they wouldn't provide it to us.
And we can use that as we evaluate the
Correct.
proposals that we're
And we can,
receiving.
if anybody wants to know what we're currently paying, here's what it is, this is how it's structured, so they have full disclosure to make their decisions.
That would work for me.
All right. Can I have a motion?
I think the
Is there a motion, second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. 2 hours, 20 minutes. All right. Closing the meeting, Commissioner comments. Commissioner Barra.
I think it's been a pretty good year here. I want to thank Chief and everything that she's done this year. And obviously Bill does stuff every day. I mean, he even weeds the median strip and
Yes, he does.
and everything. So thank the whole staff. Sheena, you do a great job for us. So since this is the last meeting in this building, it's really, this is it.
Say
You had to
goodbye,
say
take your
something.
chair with you.
Are we taking furniture with us?
Commissioner Jasinski.
I just wanted to say goodbye, old friend.
Commissioner Gibbons.
Who's taking the decal?
First of all, there is a new superlative I didn't know I needed, and that's fastest female on the sand.
Best female on sand.
And Dewey Beach has that too, so Dewey always wins, including fastest female on the sand. And secondly, while y'all are being a little flippant, I want to acknowledge the holding environment the Dewey Beach Life Saving Station has provided over many years, supporting our growth as we move on to the new municipal building for next month's meeting.
Well done. Thank you. Commissioner.
I just want to say, I don't want this chair.
And I will tell you with complete honesty, Commissioner Bersinger, before you show up every meeting, I do lower that chair to the ground. And I've been doing it for 5 years.
Just for clarification, will the new chairs be able to be lowered and raised?
This one will actually be a little bit higher than everyone else. And just from a public commissioner comment, I'd like to thank the general public who's put faith in us again. As Commissioner Bersinger and I have, as soon as we could, said that we were going to be running for the seats of council. We will not have an election again for this year, and this council will continue on for another 2 years, another year as it is. With that, can I have a motion for adjournment?
Motion to adjourn. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.